Feminism began in the 17th century, and it corresponded with industrialization and modernization in Europe, and then in the United States. And so feminism was used primarily as a tool for colonialism, as well as certain educational reforms. People saying that, oh, we need to educate our women so that they can enter the workforce, so that they can increase the GDP, they can increase the productivity of society. Feminism was used in these two kinds of roles: as a colonial project to justify the invasion of Muslim lands, of Chinese lands, of native lands. Feminism was used as a justification. How so? You had people like John Stuart Mill, Jeremy Bentham, Montesquieu, Condorcet, all of these different liberal philosophers in the 17th and 18th century who said that, look, the West is superior because we have civilization, and we have civilization because we educate our women. We have women going into the workforce. We treat our women by this standard. That's why we're civilized. But look at these backwards Muslims. Look at these backwards Native Americans. Look at these primitive Chinese, primitive Aboriginals, primitive Africans. They will veil their women, or they will practice polygyny, man having more than one wife, or they will, say that a woman has to serve her husband or serve her in-laws. Or the Chinese, they have foot binding, this practice of foot binding, which is actually a very bad practice. So they used, these Europeans used this idea of the victimized native women being suppressed, being subjugated. This justifies the enlightened European powers to colonize, to invade and liberate these poor women, bring these women to the light of liberal democracy and feminism and so forth, and equality, liberty, equality, and progress. This is our burden as white Europeans, the white man's burden. This is where it comes from. We have the burden of civilizing these savages. So feminism was a critical part of the colonial project. It was a tool of colonialism. All of these backwards misogynistic societies, we need to bring them to the light of reason. And in fact, the term patriarchy was coined not by some feminist, first-wave feminist woman. It was coined by a man, white man, actually, Henry Maine, in his book Ancient Law. And then you had Frederick Engels, another white philosopher, who also used this term in his The Origin of the Family, Private Property, and State, published in 1884. So they're the ones who are coining this term of patriarchy as something bad, as something backwards, as something misogynistic, where you have men as leaders. Men are the ones who are being educated. Men have authority exclusively when it comes to the state, when it comes to family, and so forth. So they are using this as an attack on not just Muslim society, on any non-Western, non-European society. All people need to be colonized so that they can be brought into the light of reason, into the light of progress, into the light of civilization. We want to create a utopia across the globe, a world utopia. And it's these backwards misogynistic cultures and religions that are holding us back from that beautiful goal. We have to invade in order to enlighten them. So then this is the origin of feminism. When people talk about the origin of feminism with the first wave of feminism, they'll talk about people like Susan B. Anthony, Lucy Stone, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, these figures in the 19th century, towards the end of the 19th century. That's not really the beginning of feminism. Feminists started with people like John Stuart Mill, arguably John Locke, people like Jeremy Bentham, people in that era, which is at least 100 years prior to the first wave of feminism. So if you're ignoring that 150-year history and you're saying that Susan B. Anthony and so forth, they're the first wave, that's when feminism started, you don't really understand feminism. And you don't understand the purpose of feminism. We have to understand feminism as a tool of colonialism and an attack on patriarchy. If you attack patriarchy, you're attacking Islam. And we're going to get to this, like the difference between red pill and feminism. Like, oh, well, they're both bad ideologies, so why are you defending one and you attack another, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm going to address that very specifically. But you have to recognize what is the core purpose and the core content, not only theoretically, but what was actually practiced of feminism. It is an attack on patriarchy. And when you look at people like Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, Lucy Stone, all of these first wave feminists, they were anti-family. They were anti-religion, like rabidly. They were rabidly atheists. or at least they were rabidly anti-organized religion. That's a more accurate statement. Maybe some of them believed in God, but they all hated, or the prominent figures of first wave feminism, they absolutely hated organized religion, including Islam. Some of them explicitly mention Islam, but mainly Christianity, but Islam is also included, because they said that these religions are what are upholding patriarchy. These religions, they uphold patriarchy, and they allow the continuation of patriarchy. So if we want to destroy patriarchy, we have to destroy religion. This is the first wave of feminism. Okay? What's called the first wave. What I just said is that there are feminists who preceded. They weren't called feminists, and they didn't necessarily call themselves feminists, but the ideas that they're advocating are the same ideas of feminism, what's known as feminism. That, oh, women are oppressed, women don't have this, women don't have that, there's not perfect equality of the sexes, so we have to invade and kill and destroy.
Nobody can save you, fears will embrace